Hi everybody, this is Adam McCarthy. Today I'm going to share with you all my findings from our EDL 853 case study, which is titled When a Student's Rights Are Wronged. Let's get started here with the summary of the case and let's establish some facts. What has happened? Miguel, who has suffered an injury during a high school football game, has had his schedule changed by the school counselor without notifying his parents. This was due to the biology class that he is currently enrolled in to be inaccessible by a wheelchair, which he ended up becoming wheelchair bound from this scenario. Parents have requested a meeting with the school principal who have brought along their attorney who is citing that the school is currently breaking Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act by not allowing him access to the biology classroom. When and where did these events occur? The event first began when Miguel's schedule was changed by the counselor due to his inability to access the classroom in his wheelchair. It stated in the case study that parents were satisfied up until this point. They were happy about his return to school. The school was happy to receive him back. But once he was unable to enter the science classroom and then schedule got changed is when everything started to kind of spiral out of control. Who is involved or who is concerned by the situation? The event involves Miguel, who's the student, his parents, the school counselor, who's Miss Guzman, and myself, who will be acting as the school's principal throughout this scenario. Next slide says report any legal or ethical issues. Has anyone been harmed by the action or decision of another? While not physically, I believe that yes, emotionally we have harmed Miguel by making him feel distraught, making him feel anxious, making him worry about this schedule change that we've implemented on him, especially without notifying his parents and having that open communication and discussion with them about this schedule change beforehand. Because if that would have happened, then we could have probably avoided this whole situation altogether. Does the action or the situation contravene an existing law? Was there a breach of contract? According to the attorney the Hernandez family has brought to the meeting at the school, yes. He is saying that our school is currently breaking Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 by not providing Miguel access to a specific classroom inside of the school. So let's synthesize exactly what has happened in a single sentence so far. Miguel's parents claim that we are breaking his 504 plan because his schedule was changed due to accessibility restrictions. So now let's synthesize all the facts that have been given to us involving people, places, and the programs. Miguel is currently wheelchair bound, which was caused due to an injury during a school event. Parents of Miguel are outraged his schedule was changed without prior knowledge or consideration due to his new disability. Counselor, who is Miss Guzman in this story, made changes to student's schedule without priorly contacting his parents. Place where this all occurred is the biology classroom has been a big focal point of this story and is currently not accessible by his wheelchair. And number two, their parents met with principal after the schedule was changed at the school. So the whole school has now become involved in this point as well, and is additional setting for where a lot of these meetings have taken place. The program, Miguel's parents' single request for his 504 action plan was to have accessibility to all classrooms and places that he needs to be inside the school. There were no other health concerns or no other concerns they had, whether intellectually, academically. So that was their one request, and as a school, we could not meet that request for them. So let's review and prioritize all of this information that we've been given. Could the conflict, the situation, or the decision be damaging to stakeholders or to the community? Can I learn more about the situation, and do I know enough to make a decision? Yes, I feel I do have enough information based on what was given to me to make a good decision. While there are some key details missing that I'll be later sharing with you throughout this case study, I do believe I have enough information to make a good decision about what to do here. So yes, if no action is taken to meet the requirements of the student's 504 Rehabilitation Action Plan, then the consequences of a lawsuit against the school district could be extremely damaging to every stakeholder who's involved. I feel that all the background information provided for the case is enough to make a good, solid decision about what should be done. So let's identify some of these options and possible consequences. So option number one is simply do nothing. I could choose to maybe just let her write it out and let's see what happens. Maybe we don't make any changes to his schedule. Maybe we leave him in this alternative science classroom that neither he nor his parents want him to be a part of. Maybe we think the attorney is going to bluff, even though they really can sue us for breaking the law set through the 504 action plan. So that it is an option. While definitely not the best, it is an option. Number two, I could change Miguel's schedule back to the biology classroom that he desires to be in, and also change the location of the class so that it's accessible for him. So through this option, we are allowing him to be back into the classroom, or I guess the class, because the actual classroom itself would change because he cannot make it there in his wheelchair. This could definitely prove a lot of hardships, especially for the other students, for the teacher. I'm a science teacher myself. I know exactly how much equipment is involved in doing labs and activities, and moving all of that to a separate setting would be extremely difficult and time consuming. But that is another option that could be done here. And then number three is I could schedule for the district maintenance crew as well as a meeting with the superintendent to adapt the accessibility to the classroom. This would depend on how involved the process would be and short versus long-term project. So is this something where it's like a quick fix? Maybe there's not like a set of stairs involved, but for some reason maybe the door is not wide enough for Miguel to fit his wheelchair through. Maybe that could be part of the problem as to why he can't access the room, or is it that maybe it's on a different level of the school? So depending on those circumstances, that would entirely change the consequences and the options that have been listed here. So again, let's evaluate even deeper some of these options. So number one is choose to do nothing. This decision would require the least amount of work on my part as the principal and the most cost effective. I guess in the short term, because in the long term, it really would be much more horrible to the school's economic status if they were able to win a lawsuit against us. Miguel's parents, with the assistance of their attorney, would likely file a lawsuit, which they can, against the district for not adhering to the student's 504 plan. Number two, change location in the biology classroom. By changing location, the desired class Miguel wishes to be enrolled in into a more accessible area, we have solved the issue of not following the guidelines set by his 504. This will likely make Miguel and his parents satisfied with the school. However, finding another available space for another classroom he can access may be difficult as well, as the inconveniences will put on biology teacher and all other students who are part of the class. In my own school building right now, we have no empty classrooms. We are completely at capacity. So if a situation happened like this, it would be very difficult to try to figure out where in the world we're going to move all these kids, especially in a science classroom where you need access to things like faucets and sinks and gas if you're going to be using natural gas for things. And those are things that are only equipped in the science lab. So it is very difficult to figure out how you're going to change locations for science classes. Number three would be consult with district superintendent into making the biology classroom wheelchair accessible. As building principal, I would first discuss with the district superintendent the possibility of making the classroom wheelchair accessible. Depending on the location of the room in the building, this may be impossible or economically infeasible. But this would create the best benefits in the long term though, because not only would Miguel be able to access this classroom now, but this would completely avoid any situation in the future happening like this again. So if we were somehow able to adjust the physical space of the room in order to make it wheelchair accessible, that would be best in the long term for the district. So choosing the best option, I really believe it's a combination of options 2 and 3, mainly taking on a lot of points in 3, but until the changes to that classroom have been made in order to make it wheelchair accessible, we would, for a short period of time, pull the biology teacher out of that classroom and we would make that schedule change. I know it seems like a lot for one student, but this is something that I, as principal, would firmly believe in, that we have to meet the requirements that all students have in our building. If this would be something else, maybe there was some type of allergy a student had, then we would also consider moving the classroom. So it's not just because he's wheelchair bound, but it's because that we really do want to meet all the needs that our students have, especially when they're health related and associated with a 504 action plan. So let's kind of imagine what this would look like implementing something like this. So by choosing a decision that incorporates elements mainly from my third option, but a few from the second, I believe that that my choice will benefit most stakeholders involved with most efficiency. It is likely that in the future, having that biology classroom inaccessible by wheelchair will again lead to more conflicts with students and parents. Although it will be costly to implement changes into the school structure in a classroom to better accommodate students who are disabled. Price is much lower than any potential lawsuit that the district may be filed against. It might take some time to incorporate these changes into the classroom setting, so until it is ready to be used, a temporary change of location for the biology classroom would be my recommendation. This decision will best benefit Miguel, his parents, and any other students who utilize a wheelchair in the future. This would also negate any potential lawsuits from the attorney, as the school would now be abiding by his 504 action plan. So we are satisfying parents with this plan, we're satisfying the attorney's claim against us, we're satisfying Miguel. As principal, I am now satisfied because I know that I have helped one of my students who are in need and have gone through a traumatic event that happened during a school function. So the only negatives I could see is perhaps the biology teacher would be frustrated with this decision. But I hope that meeting with this teacher one-on-one, I would be able to share with him all the other stakeholders' views on this issue and how this really is the best decision, even though it may be inconvenient for them. But that summarizes it for my EDL 853 case study. I appreciate you listening to this, and I'll see you all later. Thanks.